Good morning. Are you always under pressure? Are you always in a rush to get things done? Do you constantly allow pressure from God knows where to dictate how you live, how you experience your life? Here is how to have a quick look at that, just to make sure that this is not the situation, this is not the case that you are going through, right? When I say your root, we've all heard about the term the root cause of something, right? In our energy system, in our bodies, in out of the 9 energies that we have dwelling within us, one of them is called the root, and it's right at the base of our spine. And this is the energy that provides us with drive and stamina to follow through on things that we want to do, to get it done, to start it, to finish it. That's usually where you find that drive, that stamina, that energy, right? It's also connected to 3 other powerful centers within the body, one of which is the survival intelligence center. The other one is the emotional intelligence center. And the other one is the actual creative force, the creative energy within us. These 3 centers are powerful because when you think about it, people will tell you you're allowing your emotions to rule, put you under pressure, you're allowing fear to dominate what you're doing, or you lack creativity in some way and you're allowing that to affect your overall life's experiences. So those 3 centers that the root is connected with, they're super powerful. And so what the root does is just gives you that drive and that stamina, that energy, it pushes it so that you get things done. So now, if you feel that you are constantly experiencing pressure in your life, 2 things will be happening. Obviously, by now you should know. You either have that energy, the drive and stamina energy within you, either have it consistent within your design, within your configuration, or you don't, which means that you are open to conditioning. It's vulnerable, it's not consistent within you. It's not that you don't have it, it's just that it isn't consistent within you. Therefore, it'll be easy for other people to put you under pressure, to condition you in that manner. So the question today is, are you allowing that, whether you have it consistently or whether you don't, are you allowing pressure to shape the structure, the nature of your life's overall experience of your work, of your marriage, of your relationship, of your interaction with people? The question here, pardon me. A couple of questions I want you to ask yourself about that today. The first one being, what areas of your life do you feel the most pressure currently? What areas of your life do you feel the most pressure currently? Is it work? Is it being a parent? Is it being a family member? Is it being an entrepreneur? Is it being a student? Is it being adulting? What area of your life are you feeling the most pressure right now? And so the next thing would be to figure out, what form does this pressure take? What form does it take? Is it some kind of panic attack you get? Is this doubt? Is it fear? Is it jealousy? When you read about somebody else's success, or you see somebody doing well, maybe somebody in your niche, or maybe somebody that you know, maybe somebody that you even helped out in some way, when you read about them, when you see some of the things that they're doing, do you begin to feel pressure to perform, to do something, to be something, to show something, maybe some measure of success yourself that you possibly haven't achieved yet? So what form does that pressure take at that point? Do you start to get jealous? Do you begin to say bad things about them? Do you begin to doubt yourself? Do you begin to feel like you're a failure? What form does that pressure take for you? And because I think that once you're able to catalog all of these things, the next step would be easier in terms of dealing with them and putting a process and a strategy in place to work around whatever it is that may be causing you that may be bringing this pressure, that may be piling it on. Then the next thing would be, who is there a person that you constantly feel this pressure from, or is there a thing that you constantly get that triggers this for you? Is it Instagram? Does it happen every time you log on to Instagram? Does it happen every time you talk to your brother? Does it happen every time you're in conversation with your partner, with your lover, with your child, with your boss at work? Is that when it gets triggered? Or is there a person or a particular situation that's connected to that triggers it for you every time, whereby you start to feel, oh God, I'm not doing anything with my life. Oh my God, what am I doing? I have no husband, I have no wife, I have no money, I have no car of my own, I have no house of my own, my business is not successful. Like whatever that is there somebody or something or a situation connected to it? Once you're able to ask yourself these three critical questions, then bring out a journal, right? Or bring out a piece of paper and a pen and start to write answers to these three questions down. Write as much as you can, write as little as you need to write at that point. Just put your thoughts to paper. Once that's done, the next step will be to create a process, to create a strategy for working around this. Most of the, I think the mistake that quite a number of people make in terms of healing and growth and expansion and moving away from things that are not serving them is they sometimes think that they'll be able to completely eliminate something. You can't get rid of your family member. You can't get rid of your sibling. In that, they will, one way or the other, they will always be there. Even if you don't have a relationship with them anymore, even if you've cut them out of your life, somehow they will still be there. And so the chances are at some point you may still feel that pressure from them, if that's where the pressure is coming from. You may not be able to completely get rid of that situation that's triggering that thing for you. So one of the things to do would be to create a process for yourself in terms of, okay, once I start to get this trigger, I have this anchor that I can connect to, that brings me back to present, that centers me, that grounds me, that lets me know, you know what, I'm not doing so badly. This pressure is just there to remind me of something. You know, you find different ways to deal with it, whether it's through reframing, whether it's through anchoring, whatever you need to do, you find a way to do that. But these three questions are highly important. If you are a person that is always kind of feeling under pressure, which would lead to fear, it would lead to doubt, it would lead to sadness and frustration and bitterness and just jealousy, all of these negative emotions that you don't want them to be present every time in your life. Contrast is not avoidable. When you are here, you know, you go through contrast because you need that for your expansion and your growth. But what you don't want is, you don't want that to be the main theme playing out in your life. So, and the job of your root energy, your drive and stamina is to provide you that constant push, which, you know, you need in order to carry out your tasks, in order to have that mojo, like they say, to get it done. But if you, for example, have a consistent drive and stamina energy within you, but you keep working and you're not where you're supposed to be yet, and you keep pushing, chances are there may be a time where somebody will say something that will trigger an emotion in you, making you maybe feel like a failure because you're not there yet, making you feel like you're not worthy, making you doubt yourself. Because you've been working so hard. So one of those situations will happen, and so by using these three questions to kind of pull yourself back and figure out, okay, no, this is where I am, this is where I'm going, you'll be able to bring yourself back to the present and center yourself and, you know, reframe that situation. The same thing goes for if that energy is not consistent within you. In fact, that's one of the critical ones, because if the energy is not consistent within you, then it's easy for people sometimes someone won't even need to say anything. You know, it'll be very, very easy for you to find yourself in that situation, in that negative state where everything is just coming at you and you're like, oh my God, what am I? Because it's something that you don't have that energy consistent within you. So if you meet somebody that is struggling with that, you will amplify that energy. If you meet somebody that has the other side of it, you will amplify it. So a lot of this will be coming at you from different angles. So it's really critical that you have a process in place for yourself that you would use to deal with that situation whenever it comes through. So the 3 questions would be: the first one, what are the areas of your life where you're feeling the most pressure? Is it from being a mother? Is it from being a partner to somebody? Is it from being an entrepreneur? Is it from being a lover? Is it from being a child to somebody? What area of your life is it that you're feeling the pressure from the most? And what form does the pressure take? It's actually really important to be able to identify that, because if you gloss over this, yes, you're feeling the pressure and you know it's coming. It comes up whenever you are in your role as a mother, whenever you're in your role as an entrepreneur and you have to talk about your business, or you have to show what you've been working on. But what form does it take? Does it make you feel angry? Does it make you feel frustrated? Does it make you feel bitter? Do you start to get jealous about other people? Do you become mean? Do you become pompous? Do you become, what form does that take? So it's really important that you put that down. You actually identify that form and write it down in your journal. And then the third question would be: is there someone specifically connected to this, or is there a thing specifically connected to that? Such as, is it Instagram? Is it when you go on Facebook? Is it when you go and when you read the news? Is it when you get news about other people's success? Exactly what is it? Who is somebody or something specifically connected to it that triggers it for you? Once you're able to go through all these 3 questions, this shouldn't take more than ideally, if you want to do it, say every week, it takes you about 30 minutes or an hour, maybe less, depending on how deep you really want to go through this process. And I can assure you that the more you go through this process, if you do it like on a weekly basis, for example, the more you find a lot of connections between the people that you deal with, the things that you say, the things that they say, the way, your own attitude and perspective. It will be easier for you to link all of these things together and for you to make the necessary tweaks where you need to make them, to fine-tune your own experience and to make sure that this thing is being handled as Olivia Pope will say. So essentially, think on these 3 questions today, and get yourself a piece of paper or a notebook if you have one already, and writing materials, and just kind of have a conversation with yourself about root cause, as they say when we're in school. They say the root cause of this problem, but I call it the root pressure. And have a session with yourself about this, this pressure, to figure out how it's affecting your life, how you're living your life. If you get in a relationship with somebody, do you immediately start to feel under pressure? It's like, where's this relationship going? What are we doing? I need to know. It's not as if, and this is the thing, you have to understand that there's the high side and the low side of this expression. There's the positive and the negative. It's not always a bad thing. It's awareness, and our attitude is what usually determines which spectrum we find ourselves. Hi, Victor. Thank you for joining. Where we find ourselves. So use the example of the relationship. If you get into a relationship and you're already wondering, okay, what are we doing? Where are we going? It could be good, it could be bad, in the sense that wanting to know where you're going, what the next steps are, what exactly it is that you do, could mean that you don't want to waste your time, if there's anything like that. Personally, I don't think there's any time wasted in anything. It's just lessons being learned. But sometimes you want to make sure, and other times it's just because, oh my god, everybody else is getting engaged. If you've been dating for someone for 3 months now, by now you should know what you're doing. You should know whether this is leading to marriage or not. You should know whether this is leading to this or this is leading to that. That's when that pressure starts to mount. That's when you start to feel, because once you don't, especially if you have this energy center defined within yourself, if you jump on a task, what it constantly provides for you is this drive and the stamina to keep going. And remember, it's connected to your emotional intelligence, it's connected to your survival instincts, and it's connected to your creative energy, your creative life energy. So you have these three powerful centers connected to that root, which is providing you with the drive and stamina. So you can see how that can quickly escalate, as they say. So it's awareness, is understanding that, okay, right now I'm starting to feel this pressure, and it's taking the form of anxiety, or it's taking the form of fear, and it's coming especially from this bloody engagement proposals I keep seeing on Instagram. So are you going to delete your Instagram account, or are you going to find a way to work around that trigger? I read somewhere where it says that you're not really growing if every time something triggers you and you run away from it, right? Your growth and expansion comes from when you get into a situation that triggers you, that brings up past wounds and past trauma, and you stay, but you're able to walk your way up from that low vibration, low energy state into a higher place. You reframe it for yourself, you anchor it, you change your perspective, you walk through, you change your attitude. So understanding that pressure, understanding where it comes from, understanding what form it takes, and understanding exactly where in your life you are feeling that pressure will help you to work your way up from that lower state, that lower that negative experience into a positive one. Again, you cannot, in life, you won't be able to avoid contrast. You won't be able to avoid having situations that will trigger you, that will bring up past wounds and old trauma. But the whole point is for you to grow from this, is for you to expand, is for you to work your way out of something negative, some negative state that you've been, and find a way to work yourself out of that into a positive, into a more empowering narrative for yourself. So understanding this pressure, understanding the pressure you get from your root is critical. If this energy is not consistent within you, once you've checked your configuration, then you know that it's even easier for you to fall prey to this situation, because when you come around people that have it, when you come around people that you would amplify that for, you feel it more. It could be from your family members. It could be someone saying to you, hey, you're 40 years old and you're still trying to be an actor, or you're still trying to be this and you're trying to be that. What are you doing with your life? If you're somebody that have that life force energy, that drive and that stamina, you have it consistent within you, then it's easier for you to step back and you be like, I got this, I know what I'm doing. And even if you don't at that point, you may fall prey to wanting to explain yourself to somebody, wanting to prove something to someone, wanting to show them, listen, I'm not a failure after all. That's going to push you into expressing yourself in a negative way, in a way that's not true and not authentic to yourself. Again, this will take you back to working through your unique decision-making strategy. But if we're staying just within the realms of all of this in the first place, then you understand that these pressures will come. If you're someone who doesn't have this life, this drive and stamina, energy consistent within you, I can guarantee you will just feel, every time you will question yourself, you will doubt yourself, you will be anxious, you will be afraid, you will be frustrated with your life, because everywhere you turn to, you see somebody being successful, because you don't have that drive and you really want to get something done, but you don't have that energy consistent within you. It becomes a huge deal. It becomes something that you're like, oh my goodness, what am I doing with my life? Do I even know how to do anything? Am I even worth it? Am I even going to ever be successful? Look at this person. Is this relationship going to work? Oh my God, it's been 6 months already. He hasn't proposed to me. This relationship is not working. When you're in a relationship with somebody for 6 months, you should be moving it. A lot of questions will be coming up that way, and then you start to panic, and then you start to make decisions that are not within your own aura, that are not going to serve you, that are not going to help you to grow, that are not going to push you forward on your path to doing whatever task it is that you've been brought here to do. So understanding that pressure is there, that pressure comes, and knowing what form it takes, who or what is attached to this pressure. If you feel this pressure every time you talk to your brother, you go to your brother for something and you're talking to them about an idea or something, and they start to go, what are you doing with yourself? What is this? And you immediately start to feel that pressure again. Then you know that the next thing to do is to just go back to your journal and go back to your process that you've installed and figure out, okay, I'm in this situation now. I'm being triggered currently. What's the next step? What am I to do? What have I put together for myself as a process to get me through this? Because it's not about running away. If you run away, if it's not your brother today, it'll be somebody else. They may not mean any harm by it. In fact, I usually try to believe that people don't mean any harm by stuff like that. When I've heard people that say to you, I'm only just trying to help, and maybe they are truly trying to help, but because you have that issue within you already, it's easy for you to get conditioned in that way. Then you want to make sure that you have this process installed, and the first step towards doing that is to ask yourself these questions to figure out, okay, what area or what areas of my life do I constantly feel this pressure? Is it as a business person? Is it as a parent? Is it as a wife? Is it as a friend? Is it as a lover? Is it as a sibling? Is it as a child to someone? What form does this pressure take for me? Do I get frustrated? Do I begin to get angry? Do I start to get jealous? Do I begin to feel frustration? Do I begin to feel unseen and unacknowledged? What form does it take? And then, is there a person specifically attached to this pressure? Is there a thing? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it when I watch the news? Is it when I read about my friend's success? Is it when my friend calls me to tell me about how amazing her business is and how much money she's making? Is that when that happens? If that's when that happens, what are the things that I can put in place to remind me of where I want to be, of who I am, of the amazing, incredible person, talent that I am? What are the processes that I can put in place to help me there? When you're under pressure, when you're already in that situation, yes, it will trigger you. And when you start to get triggers, usually some of the emotions that you feel will be things like fear. You know what they say about flight or fight response, that where you once you find yourself in a position that feels uncomfortable, in a state that feels uncomfortable, you feel like maybe your security, your survival is threatened or something, you want to run. And if you have this energy center within you undefined, and you have your emotional intelligence center undefined as well, you are royally screwed. Because what happens is you immediately have an emotional response to that. It's as simple as, and the next thing you do is you want to run away. But if you run away today, it's still going to come up, it's still going to happen, right? So are you going to run away every single time it comes up? Are you going to run away every single time you feel a pressure in that way? If you feel a pressure about the state of your finances, you feel a pressure about the state of your marriage, you feel a pressure about the state of your relationship with somebody, because you've seen some person post their engagement pictures, you start to feel pressure, and you run to your boyfriend or you run to your partner and you start to harangue him and harass them about, well, when are we going to get married? Why aren't we married yet? Everybody's getting married. We've been together for 1 year. We've been together for 6 months. Why aren't we married? When are we getting married? And you start haranguing this person. You start nagging them so much so that you lose that relationship, because you didn't know how to work on the triggers. You didn't know how to work on this situation that you found yourself. So someone says, I hate being broke, I hate being lonely. It's very, very valid, and it's okay to have these feelings, to not appreciate, not enjoy being in that state where you don't have financial stability for yourself. It's okay sometimes to be in a situation where you feel lonely. Those feelings are valid, but it's understanding, number one, why you're having that feeling. Are you feeling pressure from someone? Are you feeling pressure from something about your financial state? Is somebody telling you or talking to you about where you're supposed to be now financially at your age? Don't you know where all your friends, don't you know what they're doing? Is it about some pressure you're feeling about your state of loneliness? And Loneliness for me is very, very relative, because I think about it this way. It's spending time with yourself. It's that time that God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, has now carved out for you to learn more about yourself. When you say lonely, I'm guessing you're probably referring to not being in a relationship with somebody. One of the best moments of my life is when I am not in a relationship, because it allows me to sit back and just kind of explore so many different things. And when I find myself in a relationship with someone, I bring more to the table. I have more to share. I have a better version of me to share with them. So don't think about being lonely as, oh, I'm lonely, then something must be wrong with me. Think about it as, well, thank you, universe, for carving out this time for me, for forcing me to take a look at some things that I probably won't have time to look at when I'm in a relationship with someone, when I'm engulfed in somebody else's aura, when my time is taken by nurturing somebody else and wondering about them and figuring out, what they're doing, what they're not doing, how they're feeling, and completely neglecting myself. It's a question of reframing. It's a question of how you see these things, and I've been able to identify what you said right there. I hate being lonely. I hate being broke. Those are some of the forms that this pressure takes for you, which is okay. So the next thing now that you need to figure out is, okay, is somebody specifically attached to you, or is something specifically attached to you? Do you feel broke mostly when you go on Instagram and you see all these people with their 500 Bentleys and their Ferraris and their gold chains and stuff? Is that when you feel broke the most? Or is it when you talk to your friend, your best friend, and she's talking to you about some place she's traveled to? Or is it when you look at your bank account and you're like, fuck, I don't have any money? When is it? And who is attached to it specifically? Is there somebody or something attached to it specifically? If there are, that's great. Write them down. So what are the processes now that you can put in place to help you navigate that, to help you walk through them? You can't run away from them. So the best thing is to put a process in place that would help you. Okay, so I feel broke every time I look at this person on Instagram. Things that I can do. I can stop looking at Instagram. I can block them. And never have to see that again. But somebody else will probably pop up. It may not be this person that you're looking at right now, but somebody else will probably pop up, right? So what can I do? Do I need to find myself a small business and run that keeps me occupied? It keeps me occupied. It makes me feel like I am doing something with my life too. That's where your drive and stamina energy kicks in, and it pushes you and it tells you, do this, do that, do that. If it's within your relationship and you start to feel that, the next thing to do is, once you've asked yourself all these questions and you've identified, the next thing to do is to write down, okay, I need to have a conversation about my partner, about this pressure that I'm feeling, and get their take on it and let them know these are the things that I want. These are the milestones that I've set for myself when I'm in a relationship. Is this something they can work with? Is this something that they're thinking about to have that's one process right there that you can put in place. So pressure comes in different forms. Pressure will always be there, but it's not about running away from the pressure. It's about figuring out, asking yourself, using these 3 questions. And for those that's just joining, thank you very much for coming on, and thank you. Thank you, Jamal, for inviting all these amazing people. So the 3 questions are, what are the areas of your life that you currently feel the most pressure from? So that could be within your business. That could be as a daughter, as a father, as a wife, as a lover to somebody, as a businesswoman, as a student. Which one of these? What area of your life, or what areas of your life are you feeling the most pressure from? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, what form does this pressure take? Does it come in form of anger? When you feel this pressure from someone, do you just get angry, or do you get jealous, or do you become afraid, fearful? Do you get anxious? Do you get frustrated? Do you start to doubt yourself? Do you feel sad? So what are those? What form does the pressure take? And the last question is, who or what is specifically attached to that pressure? I know this day and age, it's probably going to be a lot about social media. I remember when I started my coaching business, and my mentor at the time was always telling me, just go on Instagram and just do it this way. And I just always constantly felt immense pressure to be a certain way, to do it a certain way, to sound a certain way, to speak. So that, and it for me, it came up as just that feeling of not being good enough, because I would see other people and how they run their coaching business and the way they're doing, and they appeared so successful that I would start doubting myself and thinking, I'm not like that. I hate wearing makeup. I don't have the fancy thing. I don't look nothing like them. People will not listen. People will not care about what I have to say unless I do it that way. And every single time I tried to look that way or to sound that way or to do something that didn't feel natural to me, that didn't feel organic, I failed at it. It wasn't even, for me, in my experience, the universe has no chill in that regard. The moment I try to do something that does not come from my God, that does not feel organic to me, that does not feel like me, that's when you'll see I would be nervous, I would be afraid, I would be anxious, it wouldn't work. And that's my experience. For you, it might be different. It might be different. So it's one of those ones where you have to process it. I had to take a step back. I had to remove myself completely and use this exact same questions that I'm sharing with you today to figure out, okay, I feel pressure in this area of my life. I feel a lot of pressure in this area of my life with this coaching business that I have. I feel a lot of pressure. What form does it take? I get anxious, I get doubtful, and I start to, belittle myself and my skills and my knowledge, even though people around me will tell me the things that you need to share them. This is incredible. But I had that pressure that I was dealing with. And so I then put it down. Okay, who or what is exactly attached to this? And I realized, listen, it's Instagram. It's every time I go on Instagram or Facebook, because I see people, they're creating communities on Facebook. They will tell you, I made $600 gazillion in 5 hours from doing this. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And then I sat and I said, okay, I can't escape Instagram at this point, because if you have a website, the website is backup for your Instagram account. Let's all be real here. The Instagram is where it's happening. Instagram is where most businesses are now. Everyone is trying to get their businesses up and running via Instagram. So I cannot avoid that sucker if I want to run this business. How do I work through it? And I put a list of things to do down. Stop trying to be like anybody else, because you are not like anybody else. What are your strengths? What are the things that you're really good at? What are the things that you're not so great at? How can you improve on those ones? And how can you use the things that you're super great at to your own advantage? And then start slowly. Start your own time. Start at your own pace. Start with your own rhythm. So that's sort of like the processes that I went through, and this is the same process that you can go through to help you when you start to feel pressure. It's not specific to whether it's a business, it's a coach or something. It could be as simple as you are now 40 years old, you're going to be 40 years old, and somebody keeps telling you, or you keep feeling pressure like, why are you not married? And this is something that's really common in our space, in our culture. Once you get to a certain age, marriage is the thing. If you are not married yet, you're not successful, you're not perceived as successful. So your pressure could be coming from that. It could be you've been married for a while, but you don't yet have children. And so your pressure could be coming from that. And these are the ways, these are the things that you will see and you will think, okay, right, this is where the pressure is showing up for me, and this is the form that it's taking. When somebody comes to you and you say, what are you people now doing? I bet you will try this other hospital. I bet you will try that other hospital. I bet you will try this medicine or something. So that maybe that would improve your chances of conception. You start to get sad. You start to feel pressure like, maybe we haven't done everything that we possibly can. Maybe we should try this. Maybe it could be as simple as something about your health. Right? But that pressure is coming, right? That pressure will keep coming. Your job is not to run away all the time. Your job, when you need some time, it's totally okay to take time. But that should be part of your process. That should be an option in your process, a step in your process to take time away. Whether it's to go and sit by yourself somewhere, whether it's to just listen and not respond. In fact, this is one of the things that I do. When I'm starting to feel a lot of pressure, one of the steps, one of my options is to just sit there, just listen and not say anything, because we feel like we're under attack sometimes. We want to justify something, we want to prove ourselves, we want to say something, and you just make it worse for yourself, so it's one of the steps that you can take. But yeah, I'm going to read through everybody's comments now, because I see it's happening a lot here. Just so I know that I've covered all the bases. I told myself I wasn't going to go too long, but oh well, we're having a conversation here, so okay. Oh, thank you, Victor. Um, okay. Okay, somebody says I've learned how to cope with my mental health so I don't get triggered easily. That's amazing. If you can share what steps you take and your coping mechanisms with us, so that we can all learn from it, because I know it's different for everybody. But I've found that having a different perspective and understanding what somebody else process is like sometimes helps you to fine tune yours. So Omogialagbo, I like your handle, by the way. If you can share some of the steps that you take, some of your processes here, that would be amazing. Yes, definitely. Exactly, read when I'm talking about how to keep your positive energy, how to make sure that you stay in that positive state, because at the end of the day, your experience is totally in your control. How you experience life, what your results are like, all of that is within you. You have the choice. You can choose to not let your triggers derail you. You can choose to not let your triggers define or shape what your experience of something or someone or someplace is going to be like. So it's totally up to you. And it sometimes it's really challenging when you're under pressure, because the pressure sometimes comes as if it feels as if you're being attacked by the people that that you care about, by the people around you. And you will often hear, oh, I'm only trying to help. Believe sometimes that they're trying to help. They don't know any other way to do it. And they don't mean any harm by it. But because of the state that you are in, it comes across as pressure. You need to be able to communicate at that point, if that's going to be one of your processes. Like, okay, I understand that you're trying to help, but this is how this is coming across to me right now. So I need some space, or can we do this another time? Or I will take your advice, but let me figure out what is best for myself, what feels authentic and what feels true to me. If you go to some of my previous posts, you see that for every single one of us, you have a unique decision-making strategy that will ensure that the decisions that you're making are what's in alignment with your purpose, with your life's task, with what you're supposed to be doing, and ensures that you stay on that train moving towards your destination, and you're not being derailed and distracted by other people's advices and words of wisdom, and this is my experience, this is what you should do. It's okay when people are sharing their experiences with you. Your job is to take what you feel like is useful for you, what resonates, and discard, chalk anything else that doesn't. Don't say because my brother told me that this is the best business to be running at this time, this is what I'm definitely going to jump into, because you may fail at it and then you're going to blame your brother, or you're going to say, well, I'm just useless, I'm not good at this. So it's, again, being able to understand your pressure, identifying it, linking it to something, and putting a process in place to help you walk through it. Exactly. And I know you do. I know how hard you work, Ridwan. So yeah, this is the thing. So Redwan is talking about the state of his finances taking a toll on his mental health, especially because he works so hard. And this is somebody that possibly has that consistent drive and stamina energy in his configuration. I haven't checked this yet. So Redwan, if you want to drop your details in my DM, I can actually do that for you and check your configuration for you, give you an overview, so you have a better idea of what energy is consistent within you, how to use that to your advantage, which ones are not consistent within you and are open and vulnerable to conditioning from other people, and how to work with that energy as well. So if you read one, I hope you can hear me, I hope you're still here. If you drop your details in my DM, or you can drop it here in the comment, I would do that and get back to you. Okay, so I think I pretty much covered everything. Omogelagbo says relationship, family, business. When you think about that lineup though, you can see how they would link together. Relationship, family, business, because in your relationship your family is going to be piling immense pressure on you about the state of your relationship. Either they don't understand it and they want to understand it, or they have specific ideas how it's supposed to be running or what you're supposed to be doing at a certain time, and they want to give you advice. And then with your business, all of that is going to link in, because you're going to be stressed from here, getting pressure from there, and then you start to doubt yourself in everything, which affects your business. So you can see how all this would just basically affect your overall life experience. Don't run away. Please don't run away. She says, I want to run away. Oh, wow. There was a time she would delete a picture because she didn't get likes. Exactly. It was the same thing for me. I would, at that time, especially with the coaching business, I would, because it was always, you have to go live, you have to share. And then I would go live. There wouldn't be anybody there. And I would just be like, so who the hell am I talking to now? There's nobody here. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to, hear what until I sat back, because I calmed the fuck down, right? Your job is to share the message. The universe will find a way to get the message to whoever needs to hear it. And that right now, that universe might be Instagram. So just do your job. Hold up your end of the bargain, right? And everything else. And I suppose this is where it comes, where they talk about having faith and understanding that things will work. There's a purpose and plan for everything. It's already been written. There isn't much that you can do in terms of changing the outcome now. What you can do is do your part. Hold up your end of the bargain and leave everything else to sort itself out. So I totally feel you on that. When you post a picture or something, especially if it's for your business and you've done this incredible photo shoot, you've put all these slides together and you share it, and people are just scrolling past, you're like, Jesus, what's going on? So I totally feel you on that. Okay, I think I pretty much covered. You have cats that you can talk to. Okay, Ms. White says, sometimes crying relieve one of certain things. Crying doesn't mean you're weak. No, absolutely not. Crying does not mean that you're weak. Crying is actually just processing the emotion and just allowing yourself to feel it. I remember when I was young, and every time I had an emotional response to something. Why are you crying? Why are you crying? You're way too weak and too sensitive. For the longest time, up till I don't know how old I was, it was just a sign of weakness. As far as I was concerned, I was conditioned so hard to not be emotional. But it didn't work. It actually had the opposite effect. Was the more they tried to change me from my natural soft emotional, the more I struggled to contain it. It was the weirdest thing. But yeah, crying is amazing. You physically feel that relief once you've had a good cry. They will say to you, they will say to you, go and have yourself a good cry and then come back to the problem and look at it with a different perspective and a different attitude. So crying helps. Okay, so Ridwan, I need you to give me your date of birth, the month, the year, and the time and the place of birth. If you don't know your time of birth, I would come into we can chat about it in the DM. I'll need some information from you so that I can pull up your time of birth. But I need your full date of birth, and I need your place of birth, where you were born. Were you born in Slovakia? Okay. All right. So thank you everybody for joining. I really, really appreciate this. This would be on my IGTV, so you can go back to watch it. And if you have more questions after watching, just drop them for me here, or you send me an email, or you can come into my DM. I have a podcast called The Rebirth Podcast, which all of this, I discuss them in depth, and I share tools that you can use every single day in there as well. So you can definitely go in there and listen for free and share with your friends. If you'd like to have your personal human configuration reading, your report, send me an email and I will tell you what information I need so we can get it started. It's as basic as you look at your entire energy configuration, how that sort of affects the way that you live your life, the experiences that you have. Ask Victor here, he will tell you it's one of the amazing things you will ever read about yourself. If you're not already following my account, I would absolutely love you to do so. And you can turn your notifications on if you want, so that you get notified every time I come online, or every time I share a post. If you have suggestions for me, if there's something that you'd like to share, something you want me to talk about, this one is really important to me. If there's anything that you want me to talk about that you're going through right now, send me an email, drop a comment under any one of my posts and tag me on there, and I will pick it up and discuss it with you. Thank you. Oh my God, I'm feeling your energy. Thank you very much. I like the eye roll. I do it a lot. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I truly, genuinely appreciate it. I will see you as days goes by on my stories. So, namaste.